The royal family of Ravania were going to visit the city during their world trip, and, of course, they were all bringing their precious crowns with them. They asked the mayor of the city to take special precautions.
Thank you.
So, he placed the crowns in a safe in a hidden room in his office, guarded by a couple of security officers. However, the next morning, when the mayor came to check on the crowns to report to the royal family that they were safe, he started panicking. Can you guess why? It's because the crowns inside the safe are not the real ones. The first crown has a price tag on it. The second crown is broken, and one of the gemstones on the third crown is missing.
Oh no!
That wouldn't happen if it was the real thing. The mayor wanted to make sure that whoever had stolen the crowns was caught. He also hoped the police would find them before the media learned about what had happened. And the only person who could help him was Detective Zelda. So, he immediately called her. The detective arrived at his office and inspected the secret room. She noticed something that might help her with her investigation. Can you figure out what it is? There's a piece of paper under one of the fake crowns. The thief left a note. Detective Zelda read it. Dear Mayor, I'm very disappointed in you. This accident has proved how inept you are at providing comfort and security for your guests, as well as your citizens. I believe I can be convinced to give the crowns back if you pay me a large, and I mean it, sum of money. Mark my words and count on what I say in my letter on this matter. Here is my contact number. 19.1-1.3-19.4-1.2 and 13.3-1.2-6.3-9.1. Yours truly, the Riddling Man. What can you make of this number? Well, the mayor thought it was a phone number. He immediately took his phone and dialed the number. But, just as Detective Zelda suspected, no one answered. In one of the last sentences of his letter, the Riddling Man underlined mark, words, count, and letter. That must be a hint. The number before the dot indicates which word you should look for in the note, and the number after the dot tells you which letter you need in that word. For example, 19.1 means you need to find the 19th word, which is comfort. The letter you need is the first one, which is C. When you do that for every number, you'll get Cafe West. Before Detective Zelda left for the cafe, she decided to check the security camera footage recorded at night. The mayor took her to the surveillance room. There were 3 different monitors, each showing the room from different angles. Detective Zelda realized only one of them was still recording live. The other 2 were showing fake images. Which recording is real and why? Do you remember what the room looked like when Detective Zelda was inspecting it? The clock certainly wasn't on this wall. It was on the opposite one, so the footage on the first monitor is fake. The footage on the second monitor isn't real also. If you look closer, you'll see a moth flying around the room, but it repeats the same movement over and over again. That's badly edited fake footage, so it makes the footage from the third monitor the real one.
Oh yes!
Detective Zelda rewound the footage and found the moment when the Riddling Man had broken into the room. He was covering his face, so it was impossible to tell what he looked like. Still, Detective Zelda managed to notice something that could help her find the criminal. Can you tell what it is? If you look at the lower left corner, you'll see someone walk into the room and leave it quickly while the Riddling Man is stealing the crowns. Could that mean that the Riddling Man has a partner? To find that out, Detective Zelda questioned all the security guards who had been working the night shift. The first guard, George said that he'd been keeping watch in front of the door. The only time he left his place was when he took a short bathroom break. The second guard, Joe, said he'd been standing in front of the door to the mayor's office all night, and the only person who took a break was George. The third guard, Brian, said he'd been right there by the door as well. Detective Zelda knew only one of them was telling the truth, and the other two were lying. Who is the liar? Do you remember what the shoes of the man who entered the room looked like? White sneakers, and that's what Brian is wearing. So he's lying. And since Joe didn't mention that Brian had left his place, he's a liar too. George is the only one who's telling the truth.
Ciao.
Brian and Joe immediately started begging Zelda. "We can't end up in jail. We promised we didn't steal anything. You have to believe us," Detective Zelda asked. "Then why did you lie?" They said that they had heard some noise coming from the room while George was away. They decided that Brian would check the room and Joe would keep watch. When Brian saw someone in the room, he got scared and ran out of there. He told Joe that he would rather lose his job than have something bad happen to him. As for Joe, he lied because Brian was his best friend, and he didn't want him to get fired. And since they never saw anyone enter or exit the room, they thought they were imagining things. After all, they were very tired. What do you think Zelda can do to check if the guards are telling the truth? She can check the surveillance footage of the street outside the building to confirm that nobody entered or left. When Zelda couldn't see anyone even walk across the street, she came to the conclusion that Brian and Joe were telling the truth.
Yeah.
The detective decided to check the secret room once again to figure out how the riddling man had gotten inside. Sometime later, she managed to spot another hidden door. Can you see it too? The bookcase is actually a door.
Oh my god.
She examined the door to figure out how to open it. She noticed 3 buttons, but only one could open the door. If Zelda pressed the wrong button, the door would get locked for good, and she would not be able to figure out where it led. Which button should she press? Take a look at the books next to the buttons. One of the titles is meaningless, while the others make sense. That must be an anagram, a word or phrase formed by rearranging the letters of another. When you rearrange the letters in the title, you'll get the second button. Detective Zelda pressed it, and the bookcase door opened. The woman saw a narrow hallway with stairs leading down. She took a step, and the door closed behind her back. She tried to force it open, but it wouldn't move. The only thing she could do was go down the stairs. She ended up in an underground pit. Inside, there was nothing but a shovel and a sign that showed her that she was around the pit. In the hole to the left, there were venomous snakes. The pit on the right was filled with poisonous gas. And on the ground right above her head, there was an angry dog with sharp teeth. What should she do? She should dig upwards. She needs to listen to the sounds the dog makes and wait for the animal to fall asleep. Then she should walk quietly past it. That must be how the riddling man entered and left the room. Detective Zelda didn't want to waste any more time, so she headed to Cafe West. A guy sitting at the table in the corner caught her eye. He looked suspicious. When Detective Zelda started walking towards him, he quickly wrote something on the newspaper he'd been reading. Then he ran away through the back door. Detective Zelda tried to catch him, but failed. She checked the paper and found another note. It said, "You're not the mayor, but I'll give him one last chance. It looks like you work for him, so bring me $20 million in cash. We can meet at the building that has the most stories in 2 hours." What building does the riddling man mean? The library. Of course, Detective Zelda was not going to give him any money. She took an empty bag to trick him into believing she had the cash so that he wouldn't run away. She went to the library. When she entered, she saw the riddling man wearing the same sunglasses and coat. He was waiting for her in the riddle and puzzle books section. Then, suddenly, someone accidentally pushed the woman. She dropped her bag. It fell on the floor and opened. The riddling man saw it was empty and understood that this was just a plan to catch him. He ran away. But he dropped something while escaping. It was a library book, and there was a library card inside. It had 3 different addresses of 3 different people who had borrowed the book before. Zelda immediately realized which was the riddling man's address. How did she figure it out? Remember the note the riddling man wrote to her at the cafe? The first address is written by the same person. Detective Zelda had 2 police officers break into the riddling man's apartment. They found the crowns, but the criminal was gone. For some reason, Detective Zelda felt that she would see the riddling man again.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side. Hey, let's see how attentive you are. Now, you see these logos every day, but can you tell which one is correct? Let's start with Pringles. Which one do you choose? The correct logo is on the right. The original Pringles guy doesn't have a mouth, he only has a mustache. So how does he eat them? What about a Tesla logo? The correct one is on the left. Coca-Cola. What do you think? Right, that's an extra detail. The left logo is correct. Look at these 2 Sprite logos very closely. What's your choice? The left one, of course. And what about Pepsi? The correct color combination is on the left. You know the TikTok logo, don't you? There we go. The blue outline is at the top, while the red one at the bottom. Are you into online shopping? Duh! Can you spot the suitable eBay logo? The correct color sequence is red, blue, yellow, and green. What about AliExpress? Orange and red? Or maybe red and orange? Ah, this one. You probably recognize the Amazon logo. That's an extra detail. The left logo is correct. Look at these 2 Etsy logos. Which one is fake? The space between letters is too large in the left logo, and the right one is okay. What about everyone's favorite Netflix? These 2 seem identical, but they're not. The correct font is over here. Can you recognize the Crayola logo? Here it is. Let's move on and check your knowledge of clothing brands. Can you spot the correct Tommy Hilfiger logo? It's on the left. white and red. What about Lacoste? The crocodiles are identical, but the correct font is over here. Zara. What's your choice, right or left? The right one is correct. What about Gap? The correct one is on the left. American Eagle Outfitters. Which way does the eagle look? To the left, of course. What about Forever 21? What's your choice? The right logo is correct. Can you recognize Coach? Of course you can. It's this one. You probably recognize the correct H&M logo. Here it is. And what about Puma? Which wildcat silhouette is correct? This one. Which one of these Banana Republic logos truly exists? There it is. Now let's move on to guess. What's your guess? The left one? Yep. The distance between the letters is way too large in the right logo. What can you say about Tom Ford, left or right? Ah, this one. Can you recognize Hermes? It's this one. What about Kappa? The silhouettes of two people shouldn't be identical. That's why the original logo is on the right. Let's take a look at these two Converse logos. What's your choice? The left logo is correct. Converse Star has 5 points. What about Uniqlo? Yep, the left one is correct. This one is very easy, isn't it? Walmart logo has 6 rays, not 5. Can you recognize Crocs logo? This one, of course. No mistake can be made when it comes to Target, right? The correct proportions of circles are here. Next one is New Balance. The right one is true. And now, let's take a look at North Face. Any ideas? The correct logo should have 3 arcs. Let's move on and check the BMW logo. What's your choice? It's the left one. Can you recognize Ford? The left one is true. One more car here. What about Subaru? It was a tough one. The correct logo is on the right. Do you like fast food? The next logo is Subway. So, white and yellow or yellow and white. That's right, white and yellow. You've probably seen the Reddit logo quite a few times. The right one is correct. MasterCard. Any ideas? The right one, of course. What about the NBC logo? Do you remember the correct color sequence? Yellow, orange, and red plus purple, blue, and green. Look at these two Huawei logos. Which one is fake? Only the left one is correct. It should have 8 petals. Let's move on. Left or right? Alibaba has an orange logo. Do you remember the Firefox logo? The right one is correct. What about Dunkin' Donuts? The right one. Dunkin' is orange and Donuts is pink. Our next one is Taco Bell. This shape is wrong. The bell must be placed in an arch. What about Twix? Yeah, the right one. And what do you think about these two? In the original Skittles logo, rainbow colors go from red to purple. Can you recognize everyone's favorite Oreo cookies logo? This one, of course. Facebook, left or right? The right one is correct. What about YouTube? You probably see this logo every day. It's the first logo. Look at these two Cheetos logos. Can you spot the fake one? It's over here. The letters should have orange outlines instead of red. Now, let's make the task a little harder. Which one of these Burger King logos is original? Logo 3. What about Pizza Hut? There it is. Any ideas about KFC? Logo 4 is correct. Let's move on to Starbucks. There's only one original logo among these 4 options. Which one? The first one. What about Lipton? Logo 2 is correct. It has the right shade of yellow. And which one of these M&M's logos truly exists? Logo 2. Can you find the original Bounty logo? The third option is correct. You've probably been to IKEA at least once in your lifetime, but do you remember its logo? The fourth one. Can you recognize Colgate? Alright, it's the first logo. What about Oral-B? The second one is correct. Can you spot the original Blendamed? There it is. Enough with toothpaste. Now let's move on to Garnier. What's your choice? The third option is correct. Can you find the original Sephora logo? Logo 3 is correct. What about Maybelline? Any ideas? Here it is. Can you recognize the original NYX logo? The second one is correct. Can you find the original Visa logo? Don't peep into your wallet. Here it is. I bet you'll recognize Google even with your eyes closed. The second option. Can you find the original Apple? Here it is. What about Microsoft? Do you remember the correct color sequence? Here it is. Red, green, blue, and yellow. Nestle. There are 3 birds in the original logo. The third option is correct. Your subconscious mind probably remembers Nescafe logo in detail. Yeah, this one over here. Are you a sweet tooth? Also? Can you recognize Nesquik? Here it is. What about Milky Way? Ah, the third option is correct. Let's try Kit Kat. Any ideas? This one is correct. What about Kraft Singles? Yep, the first option is correct. Can you find the original Tropicana? The second option is correct. How about Hershey's Kisses? Option 4 is correct. Baskin Robbins. Only the second option has the correct spelling. What about Halls? The first option is correct. Let's move on and check the Krispy Kreme Donuts logo. Any ideas? The fourth logo is correct. Lay's. What's your choice? Only the third option is correct. What about Belvita? This logo is correct. And what can you say about the Mars logo? Only the first one is correct. What about Walt Disney? Can you find the right castle? The fourth logo is original. Everybody knows the Orbit logo, right? Can you spot the original graphics? Here it is. Do you like gum? Then it won't be hard for you to find the correct Doublemint logo. The third option is correct. Any ideas about Mentos? The second logo is original. And what about Wendy's? Which portrait decorates the logo? The third lady is original. And finally, Instagram. This one is tricky because all the four logos look almost identical. This one is correct. Now let's check if you can recognize a brand even if we remove its name from the logo. Does this piece of contemporary art remind you of anything? Can you feel any magic scent? That's right, it's Jacob's. What about this one? "7 Days." Can you recognize this brand? It's DHL. Next one. Does this image remind you of something? Do you like juice? That's right, it's Del Monte. Can you recognize this one? It's Juicy Juice. This one is tough, but I believe in you. It's Boar's Head. What about this logo? Let me give you a hint. Chocolate, caramel, and pecans. That's right, it's turtles. Take a look at this yellow stuff. Any associations? Starburst. Can you recognize this logo? That's right, it's Tuck. Take a look at this image. Any ideas? It's NASA. Good job!